YouTube. For all of you that are viewing, thank you for viewing. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification. I'm gonna give some business and some life advice. Business and life advice. I'm a mom, and I wouldn't even consider myself a small business owner. If you own a small business, by definition, you're bringing in around $7 million a year. At my current status, I am just a self-employed individual. Like, we back in before 2020, we came up with terms. I'm a boss, and a boss, a boss, according to Damon Dash, means that you are an overseer or employ others. I am not a boss at the moment. Back then, I was considered a boss before I parted with my employees or subcontractors, giving them an opportunity for free to take on parts of the business. Before I did that, I was a boss, but at the same time, I was running my own pool route. And therefore, that I was able to employ others and give them work. But now I'm just a self-employed individual. Did the pricing that much change? Did my net change? No. My net, when I actually went solo, my net actually increased. And I know I'm going kind of off topic, but my net actually increased because my overhead, meaning my employees, my subcontractors, were the largest expense. And I had to run a route myself. So at the end of the day, I used to tell my guys, hey, I can literally let you guys go and make more money. And that is exactly what I did with the turn of COVID. With that, I reshaped the business. I filed bankruptcy. I parted with 2/3 of my business and kept the cream of the crop. I also restructured the way that pool maintenance and pool service is done in this business here in Las Vegas. It's not an original idea. I got this idea from a guy called Johnny O, and he owned the largest pool store in Southern California and ran 35 trucks and his store. That's a small business owner. I was going to follow in those footsteps until I met him one day, and he told me, don't do it. You keep it, and I listened to him. He said, you need to just be you and maybe one guy. And mind you, this guy is a multi-millionaire, but he was telling me, don't do it. Don't go brick and mortar. Leslie's will overtake you. And down the line, 2024, here I am taking his advice. I also used to service another client. His name was John. And John told me the same thing years ago when I was expanding. And he said, you're going to end up divorced and you're going to end up filing bankruptcy if you continue the route you're going. And he was exactly right. Something about these older people with experience. They know what they're talking about. So now, when I advise the younger generation, everything, I get the call back, everything you said happened and was correct. And it wasn't because I'm some type of prophet or I know more than you. It's because of age and experience. So getting back onto the topic of conversation, as I reshaped the business, reshaping my new business included an expansion of services. I no longer had the name of Pools Unlimited because that puts you in the box. I am now residential and commercial services because that leaves that leaves me open for a great amount of services. I was in Chicago over Thanksgiving, and when I was in Chicago, I'm helping my wife and we're putting up drywall. I'm ripping out toilets. And mind you, I'm not going to say anything that I was doing was special, because you can do it too. I'm ripping out drywall. I'm installing toilets, installing whole entire new sinks, putting these ceiling fans up, and doing the electrical work with her father, installing the doors. So basically I was doing a lot of handyman work. But I'm not a handyman. I'm not quote unquote a handyman. I am a pool maintenance provider. That is my specialty. That is the lane that I drive in. And I wouldn't even say I'm a pool maintenance provider or a pool service provider 100%. My forte is a pool cleaner. You get me in there, I make that pool shine. And I leave. Oh, do you not do the repairs? Let me give you a number. There's certain lanes that we learn to stay in, that we learn to thrive in, that we learn to swim in, and we're comfortable with that. When I first began Pools and Pool, I didn't know what lane I was going to be in. I didn't have a grasp of the business. All I understood was, hey, I see this makes money, I'm gonna jump in. And many guys do that, jump in head first, and they fall flat within 3 years. I managed to make it. I had at that time many platforms to advertise on. I had a aggressive marketing strategy that took me from 44 to about 260 and climbing accounts in a very short period of time. And I was able to handle and put out the manpower to get the work done. I thought I was number one. Anyway, I learned in life that bigger, yeah, that's a nice takeoff. I learned that bigger is, I'm watching this Porsche or Audi. I learned that bigger is not necessarily better. Even at 72 accounts, I'm looking at my wife and saying, that's still too much for me. That's still too much, because these other services need to be done. And if you have one windstorm, you're still leaving money on the table. It's still too much. Anyway, now that I've given that introduction, a customer called me or sent me a text yesterday, and mind you, I've had this customer for years and didn't understand. I think I had him 2015, since 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 24, 25, 10 years. And he couldn't really grasp the reason why his bill was still $178.10 if I was not coming every single week. He said, in the summertime you can understand because you're here every week. Why is my bill still high? And you're coming bi-weekly. And I did not want to spell it out for him, and I did not spell it out for him that he is paying for a monthly service. That means that if I step foot on your account one time that month, I have met my obligation. That is me meeting my obligation. However, in the summertime, pools need to be serviced pools need to be serviced every single week. In the wintertime, it may be a little impossible to do so with the cutoff of daylight hours, windstorms, filter cleanings, etc., etc. It may be impossible to do that. And I even went to his bill all the way back to 2023. And I said, well, if you notice in 2023, you were following the same trend of this is what you paid. Here you can see the dip. And, you know, I basically told him, you know, because he just couldn't understand. And mind you, these people drive Porsches, Range Rovers. It costs you to get that car detailed one time. If you get it detailed one time, probably $75 to $100 for that one visit of detailing. You know, in my business, $135 is for me to clean the pool. Clean the pool one time that month. Clean the step foot in the property. My one-time cleanings are even more. It's kind of, and that goes with anything. If you get a gym membership, hey, you want to pay month by month, it's going to be more. You want to pay every quarter, it's a little less. You want to pay 6 months, it's a little less. You know, if you pay for the whole year, you receive a greater discount. That's with anything in business. You know, with Netflix, Hulu, Disney, all these places that you subscribe to, they charge you a monthly subscription, whether you're watching the TV or not. They still get paid. And that is the same way it works in this industry. You know, you basically picked up a pool subscription. You're $135 a month, and it's kind of like if you have a Hulu subscription, or let's say if you have a Amazon Prime subscription. Well, this is what you get for your subscription. However, there are all these additives that can increase your subscription. There are all these additives that can increase your subscription. You know, if you want to watch this, ESPN, okay, now you gotta, you know, we'll bump you up for an additional, and that's the same way my service works. Basically, if you want me to just come clean your pool, me done polling it one time a month, that's $135. You know, if you want me to add chemicals to it and balance everything out for the month, you know, I might charge you $175 to $200 just to do it that one time. So the benefit to you by you paying, you know, the $178 a month, and your price is decreasing as we get cooler, is I'm showing up more than one time a month. And his argument was, well, you only came one time in November. And I'm thinking, well, if you want to get into technicalities, yes, you pay for monthly service, not weekly service, not bi-weekly service. You pay for monthly service. And within those ramifications, ideally in the summertime, especially with more hours, you will see me this amount of times per month. You will see me every single week, not unless something freakish happens. In the wintertime, because of these factors, I may or may not be able to get to you within 4 times. Well, your back was hurting and you know, you only serviced me 3 times in October. You know, so that means I serviced you twice in November then. So I lived up to the anyway. If I have got to go into detail that much, and keep this in mind, I told the guy one thing. I said, you know what? I didn't even go back and forth. I explained it once, and when I started to see that he wasn't going to understand, I pulled in spades. You have a little joker and you have the big joker. Apparently, I don't have a Porsche Panamera in my garage. I don't have a Range Rover. with a metallic purple color sitting in my driveway. So you know what I said to this guy? I said to him, I said, hey, how would you like me to resolve this issue? I can give you the whole entire month free. I hit that man where his ego, I offended his ego. Basically, and my wife was like, why are you giving it to him free? And I told her, I said, here's one thing. Keep this in mind, YouTube. I'm a very wise person. Before I say something, I think about multiple ways of saying it. Before I get quick with the fingers and text it, because this was all via text, I said, you know what? Let me just ask him how he would like to resolve this. Because us going back and forth over weeks, times, and monthly, and blah, that we're getting nowhere. So I laid the big joker on the table. And I said, how would you like me to resolve this? I can give you the whole entire month free. Meaning, I don't need the $178.10. If you need it more than I do, and your pockets are a lot bigger than mine, there you go. Issue resolved. And he replied back, I'm not asking for anything for free. Well, yeah, you kind of are. You kind of are. You're asking me to work for cheap. You're asking me, and I understand that you're not understanding why your bill is still $178.10. After I explained to you that we ran hotter this year, we had a later summer, we had a windstorm, and yes, even though, and mind you, this is just his November bill, and even though we're just getting into this winter, because of October, remind you, these chems are, is this Jones or Rainbow? This is Jones. Mind you, we're just getting into the winter time. I said, even though now I started coming bi-weekly, you know, the reason why your bill is still $178.10 is because of, look at October. It kept holding on. We kept having windstorms. Had I died down on the chemicals, that means your pool, I was noticing your pool going green, and I'm applying algicides. And you know, somebody's got to take the hit on it. I am in the business of making money. I am not in the business of breaking even. I'm not in the business of, you should not be in the business of breaking even either. You are in the business to make a profit. And you're going to make your profit on a 360-degree deal, as they say in music. That is how you're going to make your profit. And I did not want to spell that out to him. So the way I make my profit in the wintertime, and if you looked at his bills, he'll see how I gave him a $30 discount this week, $40 discount last month. See, because his pool service is more than the $185. Everything is itemized. Now, for me to clean it, for me to maintain it, drop a brush in and vac, that's the bare minimum. But if you see all these chems, all these algicides, all this, even if I need to clean, all those are additional. So his true cost of pool service is somewhere between $200. I would say a good quote for his pool service for somebody to come every single week would be around $200. I'm not lying. And here's the thing, he's going to call around and he's going to get pricing for monthly service somewhere in the 180 to 185 range consistently. No breaks, no dollars. If you add, and that's just the company not even profiting. That's them breaking even, if not profiting, because I've itemized everything down to a T. So when I told him that, hey, I can get this to you for free. I didn't care at that point whether I retained his business, or whether I lost his business, because I knew that in the summertime, I'm barely breaking even servicing your pool. And the summers are a heck of a lot longer than the winters. Winters, November, you'll still see cost up. December, January, February will start building up. And actually, the way I'm servicing pools this year is they're not going to see that massive hit come April. They're still going to be in a lower price bracket because of how I'm servicing the pools in the winter. But he can't see that yet. And I should not have to explain that to him. Shouldn't have, this guy's been servicing my pool for the past 10 years. Am I going to cry about, him being quote unquote inconsistent? They'll be quick to call you inconsistent. Be quick while I'm looking at a clean swimming pool. I've seen this done to new accounts I walked upon. Well, what was wrong? Well, he was like a little inconsistent. I was like, well, the pool was clean though. You pay for monthly service. And they just stop and look at me. And I tell them, I said, is he the only one working? Yeah. Is he? I said, well, you have got to leave room for error. Emergencies, blah, blah, blah. Now, if you want a bigger company, I can give you the names of bigger companies where somebody new will show up every single week and you'll be stuck with a price of $185 to $195 and climbing. So I can give you that. But if that man is working by himself, that is something that you've got to understand. If he's always responsive, you don't have any major issues with the pool other than, okay, my guy hurt his back this week. If that's your dude, hey, take care of yourself. Get some rest. Don't nickel and dime that man, because I told my wife, I said, if A, B, and C happens, he's not going to get the breaks he got in the summertime. I'm going to stick it to him like I'm throwing glue on a wall, because I know what it takes. I know all the discounts I had to discount him down to just to break even in the summertime, and he was still paying $185, $190 when he should have been paying probably in order for me to see some type of light at the end of the tunnel during the summertime. He should have been paying $200 to $250. Filter cleaning is $100. So he told me, he said, I'll pay the $178.10 and we'll revisit this. Meaning that he's going to shop for service. I have no problem with that. I was even thinking at the gym today, I was like, well, maybe I should just call him and say, hey, you know what? Because I'm here to be fair. I mean, if you feel I was there for November once and you didn't get the services that you deserve and you're sitting there looking at a trash pool, I said, if that's what you think, hey, no sweat. I'll leave it. But I didn't do that. I said, nope, Josh, that's going back and forth. Maintain your respect. Maintain how you do business. This is something that he understood since 2023, since the ending of COVID. This is something that prices were going to go up. This is something that you've been doing, so you can't complain about it. And with that, I thought about the words of a technician I used to work for called Craig, and he told me, he said, you're gonna have to step away from the business one day and do something else. And I said, I've been doing this business for the past, since 2012 or before. Don't have a resume. And I'm at least getting that together for when I need to bow out, and maybe it's my time to elevate to another company, elevate to a different position. Sometimes this business is thankless. There are no benefits other than me being able, I don't have health benefits. I don't have a pension. I don't have any of these things. So the benefits I do have is I I'm able to tailor the business the way I want to do that. And I'm like, I'm not going to let anybody interfere with the way I do business. I got my resume together, or I'm in the process of getting that together. I'll upload my LinkedIn profile, and it's time to, when I'm ready to bow out, because everybody says one day we know you're going to bow out. And when I bow out, I'm going to step in. When I bow out or bow down, I'm about to step up into something greater. So take that with you. You're replaceable. You're replaceable for somebody just not liking the way you do business. They'll say things of call you inconsistent without actually. Well, this guy actually, my pool's been looking great. I don't. Even though his visits are sporadic, him being solo, and this is something I understood. The pool's always looking great. I don't have any major issues. If that's your only issue, yet that guy already explained this is how I do business, then you're the problem. Peace.